I love the students first and foremost, the energy that they bring to the classroom.
I've come to realize doing this for 29 years, the kids haven't changed. I mean, they're still genuinely great young adults that are in this community.
They're all more talented than I am, they are smarter than I am, they're cooler than I ever was.
Hi, I'm Kenny McReynolds. For more than a decade, WCIU The U has brought you the Game of the Week, the very best in Chicagoland high school sports. And inside all that action, we pause to discover the students behind these top student athletes. Many times we find that the fire for them to succeed starts in the classroom, sparked by some remarkable teachers. We call the segments Learning to Win. And today, we're going back to look at these stories that educate, motivate, and inspire our young people. Let's lead off with some dedicated teachers who are building strong relationships with their students, empowering them to be critical thinkers and problem solvers.
Yes, good time to go. Hello, how are you? My name is Chris Dager. I'm a social science instructor here at Maine South High School. In Class A, we were talking about the 6 illusions that are cognitive illusions that are associated with psychology, and so what I wanted to do is do a demonstration to see how these illusions actually come about in everyday life by looking at sort of a witnessed event. Some of the things I remember of it are a little bit, are definitely off, or were actually colored by other stuff that was going on that for example, as I was talking then I had a Confederate, basically a perpetrator, come in and sort of slam me with a pie. So anyway, what?
It's a far, far better thing I do, Dager.
And the idea was he's kind of dressed in sort of a strange sort of way, and what they have to do is obviously then attend to what happened with the person with the pie, and then try and recall what actually really sort of happened. So first of all, if you can, fill out these sheets for a second. We'll come back to them. 5-8. We got 5-8. Okay, that's okay. 5-9. 1, 2. By making psychology, in a sense, come alive for them, it gets them used to the idea of, hey, these are things that I can sort of do in everyday life. The biggest thing that I found for teaching is the relationship you establish with the kids. If you don't establish a good relationship with the kids, they get bored, disinterested, and I think you do too. I really hope that they leave with the ideas, first of all, the subject matter is fun. It's inherently interesting. It's something they can apply to their lives. And then also too is that they become better people as a result of things that they do. They learn about their shortcomings, other people's shortcomings, and they learn basically ways in which to sort of deal and interact with those types of things. Yeah, I love coming to school every day. It's just really a great opportunity. So thank you.
Lots of linkages to ways of knowing areas of knowledge. You got all that stuff there.
This is theory of knowledge, and in theory of knowledge, we talk about how we acquire knowledge, how we structure knowledge. Kind of, it's like a little bit like a philosophy class. Really what I like to think of it as is a class that really teaches critical thinking.
You understand, that's a knowledge question, right?
The biggest skill I think that critical thinkers need to have is the ability to ask questions.
What is the role emotion plays in the inauguration of Donald Trump?
When we get to the point where we're just accepting whatever someone's telling us, whatever claims are coming our way, we just accept them without evaluating them, we're not really thinking critically. But when we start to ask questions, that's when we become critical thinkers. Not just our school, but all CPS schools have remarkable students. And that side of the story, people are seldom aware of that. We know this is true because our students make it into some of the most selective schools in the country. I want my students to go think, that I've learned a useful skill. I've learned how to think critically. I learned how to not accept what people just say just because they say it. I want them to be critical thinkers.
We're going to put MC delta T hot minus MC delta T cold. I'm Brother Patrick Hayes, physics instructor at Brother Rice High School. Today we were studying heat energy and then how that heat energy is transferred. But more importantly, we're interested in how that's used in engines. And so as we move on to the heat energy and the efficiency of engines, we want to study how those engines can be better made efficient. In order to make it more efficient, they've got to either cool the exhaust or heat up the hot temperature sink. A lot of these students are familiar with engines, and they're familiar with buying gasoline and how much of that gasoline is actually ending up as heat energy going out the tailpipe, which isn't being used. And it's good for them to understand that a lot of the money they're spending isn't actually going to driving their car. And if we're going to add steam, the water in the calorimeter is going to warm up. What's going to happen to the steam? I think it's important that students see the real-world aspect of physics and how when we do sample problems, those problems are similar to what actually happens in the world. What I want them to take away from this class is I want them to be able to think logically, and when they come across a problem, whatever type of problem it is, to be able to analytically solve that problem. But what's most important is the character of those people, and our students, that drives us, and all of our teachers are driven to inspire great character in our students.
I'm Lou Arce. I'm a mathematics teacher at Proviso West High School. I believe math, if you really understand mathematics and can communicate it, it teaches people how to think. You're not going to use systems of equations unless you're an engineer. But you're going to use the thinking behind systems of equations for the rest of your life. But if you understand that mathematics is not numbers and formulas, but patterns. If I eat too much, I put on weight. If I don't save, I don't have money to buy a house. Then students begin to understand it's not just some abstract item. It's an AP class, it's a college level class. And in that case, a student came back from visiting a college and said, that's the same textbook in college. And so at first when they're reading it, they're struggling. If they stay with it about 2 months in, all of a sudden you'll see, I understand. Do you understand it now? Yes. You will want to drop out of college. You will want to give up on a class. Don't. Never give up. You just keep on working. You can get frustrated. You can take a break. You can walk out of the room. You come back and then you get back to work. That's the probability your refrigerator is going to fail, right? So if it costs $150, one of the things I say is when you're learning, you're supposed to be wrong. The first time you do something, you should be wrong. The second time, you might still be wrong. The third time, you might still be wrong. Don't give up. You stay with it and you will get to the answer. My wish for them is they take the skills they've learned and apply them. They're engaged in the learning. They've learned how to win, as I would call it. In my classroom, I use that phrase. You learn how to win. You learn how to engage in a problem so then you can break it apart and work it.
When our Learning to Win special continues, we'll introduce you to some teachers from SEN, Loyola Academy, and Evanston Township High School. They're making a difference outside of the normal core classes. There's much more to come, so stick around. Welcome back to Learning to Win. We had a great season of visiting Chicagoland high schools for the Game of the Week. At Neuqua Valley, we saw Paul Vandersteen describe humans' role in nature. We watched Kelsey Balkin at Eric Solorio Academy value her students' individual perspective. We made the trip to St. Rita High School, where Karen Kellum's AP Government class discussed the general election. And we visited with Katie Poole of St. Joseph High School, where we learned that the classics in literature still have relevance today. At every school we went to, we saw the benefits gained through math, English, science, and history. We also discovered what guides students today often happens outside the traditional classroom.
My name is Daniel Briggs, and I'm the Performing Arts Chair at Loyola Academy, as well as the band director. From the student's perspective, I think my reputation is one of high energy and maybe a little bit crazy, but that's a good thing.
2, 3, and percussion, no matter how it goes in the beginning.
The cool thing about being a band director and one that has a marching band is that you get to do a lot of different kinds of music. Marching band is, at least for us here at Loyola, characterized by playing a lot of fun music.
Here we go!
Student leadership is the key to how I not only unlock students' learning potential, but how we run our band. You saw one of our drum majors come up and conduct the song Hey Baby, which is one of the fan favorites and certainly one of the band favorites. So he came up to conduct so that I could be free to play the cymbals. It's, you know, how I like to get my groove on with that song.
Oh, if you'll be my girl, that's it, here we go. I do this.
Watching students like that be able to command their peers is truly a fun way to see student achievement in a different kind of way. One of the cool things about being a teacher in the arts is that we get to work with these students for 4 consecutive years. So we will see them when they are brand new high school students, awkward and trying to figure out how this all works, to when they walk across that stage when they graduate.
What's up, Victor? Okay, thank you.
Let's do the handshake.
They're already there. It's already on the news. I'm not trying to do the next news thing. I'm Joel Ewing. I'm the lead theater teacher here at Senn Arts High School. I think one of our biggest things, still hurdles for some of us, are lines. Right? Today we are going to see 7th period, which is a combination class between juniors and seniors. So today we have to look at some fight choreography for a scene. We've got some students that just advanced to the preliminary round of the August Wilson monologue competition. So we're going to be doing some monologue coaching for those juniors and seniors that are advancing to that round. They're all more talented than I am. They are smarter than I am. They're cooler than I ever was, for sure. So I think that young people a lot of times can get a bad rap for being like disconnected or apathetic, and I see quite the contrary. I see the opposite every single day. They're so socially engaged, they're politically invested, they're curious about their own art and the art making of others. So no, I'm taken aback every single day by a question, by a comment, by an observation, by a performance. There's a little something every day that kind of like makes it worth coming back a next day just to find out what's next. We're so big on collaboration, so working with others, voicing and fighting for your own idea while also balancing the ideas of others. Logistically going through the process of making something. We're about to do a 10-minute scene that they collaborated on, but they had to come up with a calendar for that. They had to rehearse for that. They had to devise and write that. They had to email each other about that. They had to share Google Docs. It's not that dissimilar if they were in whatever the job is. But there's so much of the collaborative spirit that happens here in this classroom setting and will immediately apply beyond their time here at high school.
Some good flight.
I am Megan Coons. I am head girls gymnastics coach over here at Evanston Township High School. I started gymnastics when I was really little and just loved it. And it was something that I've always seen as a confidence builder.
There's lots of cheering going on at all times, which is very helpful, and I feel like we have a very supportive group.
And once you see someone struggle to get a skill that you might have had for a long time, but you appreciate how hard it is to get, and when you cheer for them, it's really nice, because it's nice to be cheered for. You can't just do everything perfectly your first time. I think whenever I was just learning a new skill, you have to at least fall 5 or 10 times, if not more. I will get actually suspicious if they don't fall, because that's how they learn.
That was better. You were a little piked on that one, but that one was much better.
My wish for my girls when they leave this program is that I hope that they have learned a lot about themselves and the strength that they have within themselves to grow into young, strong women and be able to bring all of the things that they've learned onto any part of their life and see that they can do anything that they put their mind to.
Building our future leaders by building their confidence, that sounds like a good plan to me. There's more to come on our Learning to Win special. When we come back, we'll check in on Mount Carmel and Bolingbrook High School. Welcome back to Learning to Win, our salute to teachers making a difference. It's been said that good communication is the key to success. Check out what these educators are doing with language.
Okay, couple things before we get going. So we're gonna do a grammar review. We're gonna have this game. They'll come up and we'll see who can both in speed and accuracy kind of complete a chart that we learned yesterday. And then we're also gonna do a little short research project and have the kids collaborate together on learning about a few Roman cultural things. Right, never give dogs any abuse. Nominative, genitive. It's a place where, you know, collaboration is just key. It can happen so easily, whether you're writing on writable surfaces. So I'm gonna have my students write just on top of the projected screen over here. All the walls are like that. You can erase easily. It's great for kids to check work with one another and with myself. East, winners. Winner, chicken dinner. Nice job, nice job. Grab a seat. It's just great to see how much students love engaging with really anything they're learning, and obviously for me, Latin, which, you know, people sometimes think is a dead language. But when you see your students learning and growing and getting excited about it, you can see really easily that it's not dead, that it's fun, and you can just see their worlds expanding and opening up when they get this exposure to something that they've never really learned about before. Latin is really practical too. 60% of your vocabulary in English is straight out of Latin. So if you're gonna take the ACT in a few years, you're statistically gonna do better on that test because you know Latin. Aquis, aquas, aquis. I like it. Nice job, nice job. I would hope that they would say that I'm tough, but also fair and entertaining. I try to, you know, be serious when we need to be serious, but, you know, have a little levity and some fun when we can do that too.
I'm Angie Beam. I'm a Spanish teacher at Bolingbrook High School. I teach Spanish 1 and 4. Están en la canción para poder hablar. I love the students first and foremost, the energy that they bring to the classroom, and particularly our students I find them to be super energetic, fun. A lot of them are really funny once you get to know them. De pop latino. Today we took a step back from our usual unit and did a song. It was called El Perdón, which means forgiveness. The students looked at the lyrics, they looked at the grammar structures, particularly object pronouns. The great thing about our curriculum is it's all authentic, so it's not grounded in a textbook. We're not bound by grammar charts or things like that like we used to be in the past. Now we're able to take thematic units and teach the students the appropriate grammar structures and vocabulary and have them build their vocabulary through real use of the language and exposure. So recently we've taken several students to Costa Rica. So we're always, you know, planning something like that. For the students who are unable to do that, we do field trips to bring the curriculum more to life. In Spanish 4, we go to the Art Institute. We go to an authentic tapas restaurant so they can experience food from Spain, because that's kind of harder to find around here. Most of them have not experienced that type of food at all. And then, like I said, the videos, the things we bring into the classroom that are authentic materials help them kind of form a greater connection with the language. I was thinking store up. Like we talk hearing that your teacher gets up at 4:30 in the morning to go work out when she has a family and a job. I think to them it's just teaching them how to be, you know, a successful, healthy individual is kind of part of my job too. It's not just the curriculum I deliver, but there are a lot of teachable moments, there are a lot of life lessons along the way. So if I'm going to participate in a half marathon or a triathlon, I'm going to tell them about it because, like I said, I think it's good for them to see you know, what a successful adult is doing aside from having a job.
When our Learning to Win special continues, we'll take a trip to Providence Catholic High School and Noble Street College Prep and introduce you to a couple of teachers who believe that a strong mind comes from a healthy body. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Learning to Win. Today's students, in pushing themselves to perform, can at times become a little overwhelmed. Let's take a look at how some are taught to deal with that stress.
My name is Patrick White. I teach human anatomy and physiology, and I teach a freshman health class. I'm also the head athletic trainer here at Providence Catholic High School. Everybody understand?
Yep.
Okay, good. We're in Chapter 2 of the freshman health curriculum, and we're just basically learning about health advocacy and how to be health literate. We're learning about advertising. Obviously, that was the message today. Good. It's a written or spoken media message designed to encourage consumers to buy a given product. Freshmen can be challenging at times, and I want to challenge them. I want to challenge them to elevate themselves from an academic standpoint and also an athletic standpoint. Every day, every time I step on the football field, I'm nervous. Even though I've been doing this for 20 years, you really have to be prepared for anything. My job is really to get the athletes back sooner and faster and safer than they would be before. Sometimes you have to, explain to them that, hey, you're not 100% ready, and that comes down to a safety issue. If you can't protect yourself on the field, we can't allow you to go back and participate. And I think a lot of the student athletes, they recognize that, they understand it, and they respect it.
My name is Kyle Feuerbach, and I'm a fitness and leadership instructor at Noble Street College Prep. Today you'll see a very normal day working on functional fitness, so they'll get their entire body some great training today, and you'll see some strength, some endurance. Hopefully, you'll see a lot of hard work and great technique.
Alex was talking to me today around this fact that this is bothering his low back. This should never bother your low back. It is designed to train the stomach, and your back should be well protected. As Adaway gets set, he makes sure he brings the hip with him, he flattens out, and then he's gonna bring the hip and he's gonna roll out. So notice his hips coming with him. Now he's rolling out, slow as he can, keeping the stomach tight, okay? And then he squeezes his stomach to come back up. Squeeze the stomach, come back up.
A lot of studies now show that to develop grit and resiliency, which are popular buzzwords in education, it's really, really difficult to do if you don't have a really strong body. So if you're not well conditioned, it's very difficult to have a really strong, disciplined mind. So I think we're setting up the foundation to build some of that. Not to mention, our students are dealing with a ton of stress all the time. So much so that oftentimes there's unhealthy ways of dealing with stress, and that we want to instill them with some very, very positive and healthy ways to manage their stress.
Go as hard as you can, not as hard as you want to go. Make sure that we're working through. All right, guys, ready? 3, 2, 1, and go!
Sometimes it's fun working with teens because you get to laugh and you get to kind of enjoy the fact that they are navigating the world from a very different mindset than we are, and as we once did. What makes it enjoyable is seeing now that we have a strong network of alums, and that our work on a day-to-day basis, which can sometimes feel murky and also just like we're in the trenches sometimes, it's a very grueling process, that now that we're seeing that it's working, and that in and of itself, especially right now in Chicago in 2017 with everything going on, understanding that we're a part of a solution is something that is incredibly meaningful.
Teachers, important people doing remarkable work. From all of us here to them, thank you for your dedication. And to all of you, thanks for watching. I'm Kenny McReynolds.